In this video, we're going to take a look at a way to connect an M.2 SSD to the Raspberry Pi Compute Module 4. Now, the Raspberry Pi already provides quite a lot of processing power for a relatively affordable price, especially with the announced increase in production numbers in 2023. However, the Compute Module 4 provides quite another level of flexibility when taking into account all different I/O options that different I/O boards provide. Today we're going to take a look at one of those, namely the Andino CM4 IO board, together with the PCIe to M.2 adapter. Now, the idea behind this I/O board is basically that the CM4 provides a PCIe X1 lane that is used on most I/O boards to provide all kinds of connectivity options, like for example USB. Instead of doing that, the Andino I/O board simply exposes this PCIe X1 lane so that they can be used with other extensions. The one that's included is the PCIe to M.2 adapter, which allows you to connect SSDs to the Raspberry Pi. And this is of course very beneficial to a lot of applications, like databases, web servers, or anything else with a lot of random read and write operations, since SSDs provide way better performance than the internal eMMC storage of the Raspberry Pi, and also typically last a lot longer. Now, after having installed all the components, the first thing that you need to do is to flash the CM4 with the operating system, so that it can actually be used. We already made a video about the whole process, so if you haven't set up your CM4 yet, some instructions can be found in the top right corner right now. When everything is all set up, we can now power on the device. This can either be done by providing power to pins 2 and 6, or by plugging it directly into one of the Andino boards. That's also the solution that I opted for here. But for documentation on which pins to provide power to, you can check out the written guide on andino.system/cm4. The CM4, I/O board and SSD are actually also sold as a complete package with an Andino board, so if you really want a complete package, that's also an option. After we have plugged everything in and connected the device to the network, we can now connect to the compute module via SSH. Once we're logged in, we should see the SSD when running lsblk. In this case, our SSD is NVMe 0N1. We now need to note this name of the SSD and then run fdisk to partition the disk. To do this, simply run sudo fdisk and then the device name, so /dev/ and then the name of the device, so NVMe 0N1. Here in fdisk, the first thing we're going to do is delete all existing partitions. To do so, simply press D and press D again. It now says that no partition is defined, so that means that all partitions have now been deleted. We can now create a new partition by pressing N. We want to have a primary partition, so we press P. We just keep the default, so just press Enter. We also keep the default, press Enter again. And we have created a new primary partition. Everything should be correct now, so we can write the changes to the disk by pressing W. After having exited fdisk, we also still need to create a fitting file system for the drive. We can do this simply by running sudo mkfs.ext4 and then the device name again. It now informs us that a DOS partition already exists and if we want to proceed, and we are going to say yes. Now finally, we also need to mount the drive, of course. I'm going to create a directory in the mount directory that is simply the same as the drive name. And then we can mount the drive by simply running sudo mount /dev/device name, and then our mount point. Now everything is basically set up. We can do a simple speed test of the SSD using hdparm. To do so, simply run sudo hdparm -T, non-capital T, /dev/ and then the device name. And as you can see, these performance numbers are quite a bit better than what you could typically expect from an eMMC memory, especially the write performance. So the SSD and I/O board in combination definitely offers some new options for a lot of specialized applications of the CM4. All links to where you can find the products in our shop and the written documentation can be found in the video description. Thank you for watching, take care, and see you in the next tutorial.